Hey guys, I'm Ubiru and welcome back to World of Warships. Today I have a replay sent in by Mads 2500 in his Mogami Tier 8 Japanese cruiser. Now I've done a couple of Mogami replays in the past, and the Mogami is a fantastic ship in World of Warships. It's really the whole packet. You have fantastic DPS, you have good maneuverability, you have good top speed, and you have fairly good armor. And of course you have torpedoes. So in my opinion, the Mogami is one of the best cruisers in the game. So Mads B is on Two Brothers Standard Battle in a mostly Tier 8 game with a couple of Tier 5s. Now the good thing about this match is Mads B is the only Mogami in this game, and in this game he's against mostly Atagos. Now the Atago is very similar to the Miyoko, the Tier 7 Japanese cruiser in many ways, but it does seem to have slightly worse armor. And Mogami is fantastic at DPM, as I said, with both high explosive and armor piercing shells. Although high explosive is usually used more often, armor piercing can be quite formidable as well. So Mads has the dream matchmaking in this game. He's against many Atagos, with some Atagos on his team, with only a small amount of battleships and 2 carriers. So the Mogami is much better than the Tier 8 premium Atago in almost every way. So Mads has started the match by moving towards the eastern side of the map with a couple of allies behind him, and there's only a small token force going towards the west. Now, this is a good position initially for Mogami because he's aiming where the ships usually emerge from their spawn, and he's waiting for the Atagos on their team to emerge. You can tell this replay is very early 0.4 by how many Atagos there are. As soon as they went into open beta, they released the Atago, everyone bought the Atago, and then they took it down for a couple of weeks when they made open beta properly open beta. So I received this replay about a month ago. Nowadays you won't really experience matches like this. So this is fantastic matchmaking for a Mogami. You would expect a Mogami to mostly get Tier 9 and Tier 10 games, but in this game he's against all Tier 8s and a couple of Tier 7s. So he did a full turn, he's getting ready to fire his full broadside of those powerful 155mm guns in the direction where the enemies will likely emerge. He noticed there are some enemies on the western side of the map, not a threat at the moment. He has a token force there to hopefully deter them for now. He's been spotted. You will notice by Mads' consumables that they are interesting. He has the damage control party upgrade, so the one that costs gold, which is a reduced cooldown. He has the anti-air ability, and he also has the standard trailing fighter plane. So Mads is thinking about this game very defensively. He has to defend the cap as best he can. Of course, in this game, the enemy can easily rush down the center of the 2 islands and cap quite easily. So he's playing quite passively, quite defensively, allowing his team to push ahead, waiting for some targets to be spotted, and then of course he can fire with those very powerful guns. Now in the Mogami you have a choice of guns. You can either choose the standard 155mm guns, or you can go with the upgraded 203mm guns. Now the 203mm guns, you only have 2 barrels per turret, so instead of having 15 with the very powerful 155mm, you only have 10. Now the 203mm are very good in terms of damage, but they have a decreased rate of fire, which means less overall DPM. So now he's spotted 3 enemy ships in the distance, and they're all Atagos. He's firing some initial salvos with armor piercing, trying to get his back guns around, and you can just see the rate of fire of these fantastic 155mm guns. There are 3000 damage with armor piercing, and 300 damage again. So he's getting ready to try and get these guns around. The problem with the Mogami, though, it's a fantastic ship in terms of DPM, but the guns do take some time to turn around, so you need to actually maneuver your ship to make it easier for your guns to actually get on the target faster. So he's turned this thing around. His allies are the distraction, so he has a good opportunity here really to fire at the enemies with immunity. And it seems like the western side of the map is clear for now. It seems like one of his allies has been destroyed, but this isn't a capping version of Two Brothers, it's standard battle. So that means there's 2 caps, so it's either everyone kills everyone or cap the enemy's base. So he's moving into position now. In closed beta, the Mogami was not very good in terms of turning circle radius because it's such a long ship. It's not the best in the game at the moment, but it has been considerably buffed. Fortunately for you Mogami lovers, it hasn't actually been nerfed in terms of DPM since its inception. So he's trying to get his guns around again. The Atago is not in range. The New Mexico is not in range either, so he's just trying to get within range now. The gun range of the Mogami in this setup is around 15.5 kilometers. Now that's quite powerful, but not quite as good as the American equivalent, but quite a bit better than the Atago. Now, the Mogami used to be a tier 7 ship, believe it or not, in the very early closed beta. It used to be a tier 7 ship, and it was very powerful as a tier 7. So the devs saw this, and they pushed up the Mogami to tier 8, and they lowered the Miyoko to a tier 7, and the Miyoko is still a very formidable tier 7 ship with its very powerful guns, but the Mogami is still considerably better. So now he's within gun range of an Otago at 14.2 kilometers away. All the guns are facing in that direction. It will just take a couple of seconds for the guns to actually align. And you will notice in this situation he's rather close to the plane, and you will see how powerful the anti-air capability of the Mogami is. It's not quite as good as the American counterpart, but it's still very good. So he shot down a couple of planes there, and now he's getting ready to fire. So the main targets in the distance, they're mostly Otagos, with one New Mexico, which is out of range. We fired one salvo here. It did some damage, 1,000 damage with armor piercing, but it's not going to be as effective as a broadside on. And now he's reloaded, and now he's broadside on at 11 kilometers away. So now he's firing a full salvo, and you will notice the reload is fantastic, only around 10 seconds for a full reload of these very powerful guns. So shots are going in, only for a small amount of damage. Second salvo going in as well, for about 2,000 damage, and incapacitated him. So there's another Otago there at 15.1 kilometers away. Seems that Otago was killed by torpedoes. Firing one salvo into the Otago. The Otago is a very a low ship, a very low profile ship, and can be quite hard to hit if you hit the sides. But if you hit the center, bang on, you can do a lot of damage. He did miss the shot there, but no matter, the reload time is fantastic in the Mogami. And it's also especially good in the Mogami because you have no ammunition limitations. Now, ammunition limitations will probably eventually emerge in World of Warships, and ships like this with fantastic DPM will probably be limited to only a small amount of shells. So now he's trying to get his guns around. You will notice the very slow turning time of these guns without any upgrades or commander crew skills. And then he saw someone in his base. So you see here there's an Otago in his base at the moment with a destroyer. He needs to go back and defend. So in this map, it's very easy for the enemy to get around one side of the island or through the center of the islands to cap the base. You need to play very defensively if you want to have any chance of really winning this game. I mean, his team is capping as well, but this guy is sort of throwing his ship away. There's 5 ships heading towards him in the enemy cap. So you also notice the very good top speed of the Mogami. It's around 35-36 knots leveling off. It's just a fantastic ship overall. I was rather surprised when 0.4 happened, open beta happened, that they didn't nerf this thing to the ground. I mean, I've seen some other wargaming games where they've nerfed fantastic tanks or whatever ships to the ground, like they did with destroyers in this game in 0.4. But no, the Mogami still remains one of the best ships in the game in terms of DPM. So we saw the New Mexico there. He got too close. He's a very slow ship, the New Mexico, very close distance. 1,000 damage with armor piercing. In this situation, you could arguably use high explosives, probably more effective against battleships, but he's firing armor piercing anyway. So 5,000 health left, he's on fire, shots going in. 13 times, 1,900 damage. You can tell by how many times he hit him that there were very low damaging penetrations. So there's a Sims there at 13.1 kilometers away, and in 0.4 they have a really bad nerf, really, destroyers with their smoke. It only lasts for 20 seconds now as opposed to 40 in closed beta. So now he switched to high explosive shells, which is undoubtedly the best ammunition type to fight the Sims. You will notice that the Otago that was in the allied base is gone, so it's just the Sims left. And he just got hit by a torpedo, and he's been safely knocked out. So far in this game, Madspeed's team is winning by quite a big margin, 5-2. So he's got 7 planes shot down and 38 hits and 1 critical hit. So nothing major yet, but we've just started. So we've got 10 minutes left of the game, and there's a Nagato. Now the Nagato is a very formidable battleship when fully upgraded. The Nagato is very low profile, has very powerful guns, pretty good top speed, and very good secondary guns. So we saw that plane. He's trying to go back to maybe assist the Atlanta with that plane, but the Atlanta's got no problem there. The Atlanta has a pretty respectable anti-air capability. So he's not going to rush down the middle, because rushing down the middle is most of the time suicide, especially where he knows where most of the enemy battleships and cruisers are, and that's in their base. So now that the plane is taken care of, he can push safely towards the Nagato and assist the team in taking out one of their biggest battleships. So he's firing 1 salvo of high explosive over this island. You can do that actually, it's quite misleading. You can aim at an island and get it over and hit targets, as you can see here. Hit him for Hit him twice and set him on fire. That's the important part. The important part with Mogami is fire damage. Now, the Mogami is such a beast. Ever since they buffed high explosive shell damage and fire chances, the Mogami has in a way been buffed. You can pelt the target over and over again with high explosive shells, which can do quite a lot of damage if they add up, and fire damage, because fire damage can also multiply. So you can have a multiplier of fire, you can have 2 or 3 times by fire on different areas of the ship, and the fire damage accumulates, and you can do a serious amount of damage by the end of the match. So he's firing a salvo into the rear of the Nagato. In they go for 2,300 damage. So that's just with one salvo of high explosive. Guns are reloaded again. He's going to fire one more salvo into the center of the ship this time. In they go for 6,400 with high explosive damage and set him on fire. So he's firing one more salvo into the side of the Nagato before he gets behind this rock. Hit him there, 1,600, and fire damage finished him off. So for me, honestly, the Mogami is better using a high explosive loadout than armor piercing. Armor piercing, of course, has the chance of ricocheting, have chance of low damage penetrations, but high explosive damage is more consistent. But the argument for armor piercing in this ship is you can get citadel hits, and citadel hits are unique with armor piercing, where you hit a target in an area where it's very vulnerable and it crits, and you do a set amount of damage based on your gun type. So in this ship, I think it's around 3,000 or 4,000 damage per shell with these very low caliber guns, but with bigger ships like battleships, you can edge closer and closer to 12,000, 14,000 damage for one citadel hit. So at the moment he's in the eye of the storm. Most of his allies are on the eastern side of the map. He's on the western side of the map with only him and another ship on his right, the Atlanta. So he's got to get around and finish them off in their base. So his team is winning by a very large margin here, 6-2, but it's not over yet. They still have quite a lot of Atagos up and one of their carriers remaining. And I'm just going to go and skip forward for a few seconds until we get near the action. And now Mads is about to emerge with his Atlanta friend to hopefully kill what's left in the enemy cap circle. So we can see here there's at least 2 Atagos there in plain sight already spotted, and there's a third. Okay, there's 3 Atagos there and there's 6 ships in total. The Atlanta will emerge first, and then Mads will soon follow. So he's getting his guns prepared, he's turned them all to a full side right to get ready to fire at these guys when they're within gun range. So Atlanta is now there. So the Atlanta has a gun range of around 12 kilometers with the upgrade, and he's firing at the Atago. So the Atago seems like a good target to shoot at. He's in the center there of the cap, trying to defend as best he can, but he's about to eat a whole bunch of torpedoes. And torpedoes are a major threat to ships as long as this. 4,000 health left. And he's also very slow. So now is the opportunity for Mads to fire a salvo at this guy. Fired a full salvo, high explosive shells, in they go. For 3,400 damage, 500 off, didn't set one fire. Firing a second salvo now, 500 health left. Set him on fire and finished him off. So now there's 3 Atagos in front of him, 1 on the right, and they have a carrier remaining. Now I have no idea where the carrier is in this situation, but the cruisers are the major threat. So there are quite a lot of allies pushing on the eastern side of the map, a couple in the center, and a couple on the west. So now the enemies are largely encircled. So now is the opportunity to get these shots in and maybe kill some ships. And now he's seen the Atago, he's fired one salvo at the Atago. Hopefully it'll go over the island and hit the target. And there's another Atago, 5,000 health left, 14 kilometers away, firing one salvo into the side of the ship. Shots going in, incapacitate him, knocked out his engine, 400 damage, very low damage roll. Another salvo going in, using that very good DPM fire rate of the Mogami. Second salvo as he's turning, good position. 3,000 health left, his allies are helping him as well. Shots going in, unfortunately that salvo missed, and the second ones as well. In a good position now, he's broadside on from Mads, firing a full salvo into the side of the Atago. Shots going in. 800 damage, 200 health left. He's not on fire by Mads, and he was killed. And now look where Mads is. There's 3 Atagos in front of him. One very low, one full health, and one about half health. So he's got to focus down the low one first. Firing a full salvo with armor piercing this time into the side of the Atago. Only a small amount of damage, only around 2,000 damage in total. He's going to focus on the guy closer to him at 4 kilometers instead. So this guy is a bigger threat because he's closer distance and he has torpedoes. So this guy needs to die. Shots going in with armor piercing, 2 citadel hits, 16,000 damage. Guns reloaded in 3 seconds. Shots going in again. Another 4 Citadel hits for 14,000 damage. So his guns are reloaded again. Torpedoes are out. 5,000 health left. Going to fire full salvo into the side of this guy. His guns are reloaded. Finished off that target. The second one needs to die as well. 5.6 kilometers away. 8,000 health left versus Mad's 6,000 health left. So he's leading the shots. He has to get this guy with the first salvo. No compromise. 8,000 health left. 2 more Citadel hits and killed that ship. So he was only seconds off from getting the double kill achievement, and there's another Otago there. So Mads is only very low here at 5,000 health. This Otago is 18,000 health left. The Otago is 12 kilometers away, and that's good gun range for these guns. He got hit slightly. He hit the target for 3,500 with armor piercing. 14,000 health left. His allies are helping him as well. 2 ships left on the enemy team. Allies hit him for a small amount of damage. Guns are reloaded. Followed by another one. Allies shot going in. He hits for 2,000 damage, 3,000 damage. Second salvo going in. 300 damage, very low damage penetration. But this is just to show you guys the fantastic DPM of the Mogami, how fast it can fire and how much damage it can do over such a small amount of time. Yes, the damage is only minor, but the damage potential of these guns is very, very high. And now he's getting in a straight formation to stop the enemy from finishing him off. Hit him again there for 1,000. Getting his guns to turn around. 3 guns at the front, the 2 back ones are inactive. He's hit the edge of the map, so now the enemy Otago is sitting ducks. Terrible position. He's shooting him as well. 1,000 damage there. Small amounts of damage every time, doesn't matter. This guy is going down. 900 damage left. This has got to finish him off. Last salvo, he got hit for quite a lot of damage, 2,700, and he finished him off. Only 1,000 health left. So in that very short-lived brawl, Mads managed to survive and kill 5 ships within very quick succession. So that just shows you how fantastic the Mogami can be with both armor piercing and high explosive shells. Armor piercing with the Citadel hit potential, and high explosive with the fire damage potential. So now Mads' team has no idea where the carrier is, and there's only 1 minute 20 seconds left of the cap. So now the best thing to do here is to cap and to win. So it was a fantastic game by Mads in the Mogami Tier 8 Japanese cruiser. So in that game, Mads 2,500 accumulated 384,000 credits, 3,300 experience, 166 free experience, 136 hits, 8 planes shot down, 4 critically damaged, 5 destroyed, 3 set on fire, 9 Citadel hits, and assisted in capture of the base. Unfortunately, I don't have damage and team-specific stats, but I believe the damage was in excess of 120,000 damage. So great game by Mads in the Mogami Tier 8 Japanese cruiser. If you guys have any replays you want to send in for me to have a look at, send them to ubiru0@gmail.com. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.